Sage 50 lets you keep 2 years open at all times. And in most cases, it's pretty good about letting you run reports for prior years, but there are times when you'll run into some limitations in trying to report on closed years, particularly in payroll. So it's always a good idea to make a copy of your company before you run the year-end wizard. There are two ways you can go about doing that. One is to use the archive feature if you're on Premium or Quantum, or you can simply copy the files to create a new company. So let's look at the archive feature first. If we go to the File menu and choose Archive Company, you come up with the Archive Company window, and it fills in a name for this archive for you, just the word archive and today's date. I will usually add the year that I'm about to close to the beginning of the archive name, so that I can quickly see what years are going to be available in that archive. You click the archive button and it copies the files. Click finish and you're done with it. So we'll go now to the file menu and we'll go to open archive company to take a look at that. Say OK at this will close the current company. And you see that you get a list now of any archives that have been made previously. So you just select the one you want, click OK, and it will take you into that company. Then you would have full access to the years that were in there, so you don't have to worry about any limitations on your reporting. To get back to your regular company, just go to the File menu and go to Open Company, and you can choose it from the list. Now, there are a couple things that you need to know about the archive. Number one, it is a read-only copy. So the good thing about that is you never have to wonder if someone has gotten into the wrong company by accident and entered transactions, or maybe just gone in and changed something that they shouldn't have had. It will always be a perfect snapshot of your data at the moment you made the archive. The one downside to that is because it is read-only, there's no way to switch it back to being not read-only or editable, so it doesn't really serve as a backup. It is a pure archive. And second thing you need to know is that passwords and permissions that you change in your regular company those changes will automatically be replicated in your archive, so you don't have to worry about forgetting a password for a prior year or something like that. It'll always be continuously updated. And of course, remember that feature is only in Premium and Quantum. If you're on Sage 50 Pro or Sage 50 Complete, you won't have that feature. So if you're on one of those two versions, you can use the method that everybody did before the archive feature was introduced, and that's to manually create a copy of your company. The easiest way to do that is through a backup and restore. So all you need to do is go to the File menu and choose Backup. And I normally include the company name, but you can do it however you want. And we'll click Backup there. And just take the default name and location that it gives you. If you do change it, make sure you remember what you named it and where you saved it, so that you can find it later when we go to restore it. And it gives you an estimate on the file size. Just click OK. And then as soon as it finishes making the backup, you want to restore that. So we'll go back to the File menu and we'll choose Restore. And it normally remembers the last backup that you made. If you click in there, use your arrow keys to go to the right, you can see the file name, or you can click Browse if you need to go in and find the correct file. Once you've got the right file selected, click Next. Here, this is your important step. Make sure you choose the option to create a new company using the restored data. We don't want to overwrite the existing company, or we would just be spinning our wheels overwriting what we had just backed up. If you happen to be on an older version that doesn't have this option to create a new company, then you'd have to cancel this restore wizard, go and create a new empty company, and then restore this backup over the top of it. So here we'll click Next, and we're just going to restore the company data. If you do use the Sage Intelligence reporting, you would probably want to check the box to restore the intelligence reports also. We'll click Next. And it just confirms that we've chosen to restore this back up to a new company. And down here it shows you what the location will be for that new company in case you need to know. And click Finish. So then it'll go about restoring the backup that you just made into a new folder, so it will be a new company. Now, since we're going to have this exact copy of our original company, we need to be able to tell it apart from our regular working copy. So once it finishes the restore, you'll be placed in the new company at that time. You won't be in the original. You'll be in the new company. So the first thing that you want to do is go up to the Maintain menu and then go to Company Information. And then here in the company name, add the year that you were about to close to the beginning of the company name. Click OK to save that change. And you won't see it up here yet unless you reopen the company. So then to get back to your original company, just like before, go back to the File menu and choose Open Company. And now you'll see both the copy that we just made and the original company in the list. So you can go back to your original company and you can proceed with your year-end processing like normal. Now, a couple things that you should be aware of when you use this method is one, that copy that we just made is not read-only. So if you don't go in and lock down people's permissions in that company, people could go in and make changes to this copy that you've made that is supposed to be preserving the prior year data. And speaking of locking down people's permissions, the changes that you make to passwords or user permissions in your regular company will not be propagated into this copy. As far as Sage 50 knows, they're two totally separate sets of data. So changing one will not change the other. But the good thing is that means you can make separate permissions in the other companies, so you can give people view-only rights in there. And the other thing you got to keep in mind is that this company shows up in your regular company list. You don't get to it through the Open Archive companies. The good thing about that is you don't have to remember a separate procedure for getting to those companies. The bad side is that your company list can get a little cluttered over time. But so those are the two methods you have for archiving your data before you close your year. Whichever one you prefer, just make sure you do it so you never get stuck wishing you could run a report that you're locked out of.